Have you ever wondered if you're just meant to put in 30, 40, maybe 50 years and then retire at age 65, 67, or 70? My husband and I used to believe that ourselves, but I'm here to tell you it's possible to do a bit of fine tuning and, from what we've learned, reach financial independence and retire earlier than you may expect. I hope you can join us on our journey. I'm here to document our journey so far and hope you can join us as we try to reach financial independence and hopefully retire early in about 2,550 days. Now, why 2,550 days exactly? It's pretty random number, isn't it? But that's the number of days that we've determined is from now until December 31st, 2032, which is when we hope to retire. At that point, we will still be considered in the retire early stage only because we will be about 60 and 62 years old at that time. So, what is FIRE exactly? FIRE just stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. It can mean different things to different people, and I will share what it means for us. FIRE for my family means being able to take back our time. It's time with our family, time to focus on our health, time to maybe slow down and travel, and just have the time to have the freedom to do what we want when we want. So, what is FIRE? We can't talk about FIRE without talking about money. And according to Morgan Housel, the author of The Psychology of Money, money's greatest intrinsic value, and this cannot be overstated, it's its ability to give you control over your time. There is a direct correlation, the amount of money that you save and the amount of freedom and time that it will give you. So, what is FIRE? So, FIRE is financial independence, retire early. And that means different things to different people. There's a lot of content out there on FIRE, and there are different types of FIRE that we can cover in future episodes. But for us, FIRE really is reaching a certain level of freedom with the money that we are able to save up so that it can allow us to do certain things that we want to do. And it's not a big list of things. Honestly, what we want is to be able to just provide for our family and to have the freedom to take back our time. Now, everyone's definition of FIRE is different, and therefore your mileage may vary. And what works for us may not work for you. And so, in this channel, as we document our progress, we purposely will not be sharing any numbers because none of those may matter to someone else. It does matter to us. These are numbers that we figured out for ourselves will work for our situation because every situation is different. There are people who are happy and completely content and able to meet their FIRE goals by just saving 500,000. For some, it could be $1 to $2 million, and some it could be even less or more. It really just depends on your situation. For us, there's a certain number that we've determined, and that is by determining what our expenses are every month, multiply that by the number of months in the year, and then multiply that by 25. That is the upper bound of the amount of money you have to save to reach financial independence. Now, if you have other income, for example, if you have Social Security, you have a pension, you have an annuity, or other sources of income, maybe a side hustle that you're planning to do in retirement, those also will factor into that number. Those additional sources of income will impact how much money you have to save. In that, you'll be able to save less than what you originally intended. So, what is financial independence and retire early? It really is a very personal journey for everybody. But the lessons to get there remain the same. And that is to pay yourself first, by saving, having the time put in so that your savings will grow and work for you, to be able to give back either to your community or maybe to an organization that you believe in, or maybe to your church, and to be able to enjoy life now while you're young, while you're healthy, and then also have enough left to enjoy that also later on when you retire. So why would anyone want to listen to a middle-aged old lady like me talking about FIRE, talking about money? I will tell you, I am not a financial advisor, nor an accountant, nor a lawyer. So this channel is not meant to give any advice on taxes, law, finance, or investment. If you want to know more about those things, please do your research and consult a professional. We're simply here to provide information on our journey in the hopes that maybe those lessons will resonate with people and they can learn something from them. Now, what differentiates us, I think, from a lot of other channels out there, I'm hoping, is that a lot of what we're going to share here is from our personal journey. I have spent a lot of my weekends and free time actually watching financial content over the last couple of years on YouTube. And it's very interesting. And I will say there are lessons that I've learned in a lot of them. I don't know that there is one channel that I will say has been my go-to for all of them, but there are several good channels out there. You just have to make sure that you do your research. My husband and I are both regular people. We still have our life to live. We still have bills to pay and kids to raise. And, we have our regular expenses, right? And so for us, that extreme level of saving just doesn't work. And we want to be able to enjoy some of the comforts that money can provide. For example, we do like traveling. And so we try to spend money on experiences for our kids and for us. But we are not so much into the material things. That's kind of like where we've deprioritize our spending and prioritize more on experiences rather than things. Experiences are those things that will stay with you. Some of the things I cherish the most are the memories we've built with our children, and some of them were not really expensive. There were many years that we spent camping with the children, and I will say, looking back, that those were some of the most memorable times we've had as a family. Material things, they just tend to deteriorate, and then eventually you have to replace them. And the other thing I do feel that people tend to focus on with the material things is that the idea of status. And that's just another thing too, that is just a hindrance to reaching FIRE. So we'll cover that more in future episodes. So here we are. We're day 0 of our 2,550-day journey. And where are we? Well, we have 2 main goals, and it is to grow 2 buckets of assets that we have. We have some pre-tax assets and post-tax assets, and I'll get into more detail in a future episode why having different buckets of money is important, especially as you head into retirement. For us, this makes sense to put a lot of our assets in pre-tax only because we're trying to keep our tax obligations at a manageable level. A lot of what we're doing today is pre-tax saving. And right now, we're about halfway to our goal. On the post-tax savings, because that is an area that is more tax advantageous in the future, that is something that we're still trying to grow. And we're probably about a third of the way there. So our hope is to fill that bucket in the next 5 to 7 years to hopefully where it needs to be. And then once we retire, we'll start converting some of our pre-tax assets into post-tax so that we can avoid certain things like IRMA surcharges, which we will cover in another topic, and high tax liabilities in the future. And thank you for joining us at the beginning of our journey, and hopefully we can catch you on the next episode. Bye.